Hi there, and welcome back to Clean Technica TV. So, if you haven't seen it yet, we already published an article reviewing the NIO ES8, and today we'll be showing a lot of that and more on video. When it comes to the ES8, there is so much to tell, so much that people don't know. Time to do something about that. Now, just a quick note, we had a total of 8 hours to film this car over a span of like 2 days, so we were forced to take a few cinematic shortcuts, but the good news is that while not all will look this Hollywood, we will be able to show you everything that we intend to when it comes to a standing car and even a bit of the driving experience as well. From the outside, well, the car is a nice big SUV. On the pictures and videos that I have seen before, seeing the car in person, it looked a bit standard to me, like, I don't know, a Toyota Land Cruiser, and there's nothing wrong with that, it's just, it doesn't turn heads when you pass by it. But that is not the ES8. You see, this is a rare case of the camera not properly being able to show you how pretty the car really is. These beautiful headlights and also beautiful taillights, they look good on camera close up, but in real life, when walking by the car, you also see that same beauty from further away. This car, it has all kinds of contours that make it look very pretty, but for a camera, you have to view it from the right angles to even see it at all. Luckily, the interior, for the most part, doesn't suffer from the same affliction as the exterior, and most of it looks really beautiful right from the start. The exception being maybe the steering wheel, which also looks a lot better in real life than on camera. Now, I will leave the best for last and start with the second row. This is the 6-seater configuration, and the middle seats can also move forwards and backwards a great deal. These seats also collapse downwards so you can store more stuff, and you can also recline these seats backwards somewhat. Then, these seats also have some nifty features like a built-in USB port, though that is actually for the third row to use. We'll show that in a second, and there's also a place to put something like, a wallet or a phone. The armrests also have a cup holder that opens with a button. That is so awesome. The second row can also control the climate, and though not for individually per seat, but for all the seats behind the first row. What is unusual is that there are air vents from the front and below. I can't say I've seen that before in the back of a car. Then there are also 2 USB ports here. These are the ones meant for the second row. Now, I said forward air vents, but in fact they are on the ceiling. They can be aimed or closed. Then what I think is really cool is that this light is also a capacitive button. It's 2-in-1. Now, surprise, I actually filmed this from the third row, but the second row has the same kind of vents and light. This is a third row, and they get cup holders, and due to the moving second row, there is plenty of space. Now, you might be wondering, how comfortable is that third row? Well, even as an adult, it's doable. On a 3-hour road trip, I would not be very happy, but even that could be doable. For a kid, it's not a problem at all. Also, I just wanted to show that the armrests on the second row, they are really customizable in height. No, seriously, that is really well made. Then, before we move on to the front rows, I just want to show the panoramic roof. It's so nice to look at from all of the back seats. So, front row. First of all, the steering wheel can really easily be adjusted through this little knob on the side of the steering wheel. In most cars, I don't even bother, but here it is so easy that I actually change the position of the steering wheel. Then in the center console, you have 2 cup holders and a wireless charger, though the wireless charger is not very fast. It does keep your phone steady and makes it very easy to quickly access your phone when needed. But what shocked me is the storage here. When you open it, you first get this small spot for a small item, but underneath it, you get real storage. So here's a single USB port, and there is a small pouch for some cables or papers. And for the rest, you get the largest storage space I have ever seen. I mean, here, it's actually elbow deep. I asked the guys for measuring tape. It is 13 inches or 33 centimeters deep. That is huge. I have a big ass 15-inch laptop and it almost fits in there. It's like 1 inch, like 3 centimeters too long. I measured 2 different 14-inch laptops when I got home. They both would have fit in there. To me, that is absolutely crazy. Then the door storage is also one of the biggest ones I've seen. And under the center console, there is a ton of space as well. 65 centimeters by 17 centimeters wide and 32 centimeters high. But this storage space also has 2 more features. Well, one is the V12 outlet, which is rated for 180 watts by way of power, and that is a good number to have. And then this is for inserting up to 3 different fragrances to make the car smell nice. And before you start saying like everybody else that you would never use something like that, which is something that I also said, by the way. An employee at NIO actually shared her experience with this. Imagine this, you are driving by a smelly farm and you were too late. You already clicked the air recirculation button, but the smell had already gotten in and it's going to take a while now to filter out. In the meantime, you might as well release the fragrance even just for a short while to alleviate the problem, as it all slowly gets ventilated. Now that is smart. That I might actually use. Now, before we talk about shifting gears, let's start with the fact that you don't have a start button, which in my opinion has been so annoying, with first having to press it to turn on the car, like the screens and stuff, and then while holding down the brake pedal, pressing the start button a second time, and only then you can start shifting gears. Here in the ES8, it's like a Tesla. The car is always on and it is so convenient. Now we can get to shifting gears, and all you have to do is pull a lever for drive or push for reverse. And when you hit reverse, the cameras come on. And if you then switch to drive, it switches to the front camera. This is one of the best camera implementations I have seen so far, and the 360-degree camera is literally the best I have seen and was instrumental when we were in the sandpit. So the last part of the gear shifter is the park button, and it is here on the side. Now it's a bit weird that you kind of have to pull back to go forward and then push forward to go back. I think that should be the other way around, but the simplicity, you don't have to look or think. Before, I thought the buttons in the Hyundai Kona were the best, but now that crown goes to NIO. Like really, really well done, guys. Now, I saved the best for last, the front passenger seat. Here, I slide it back electronically, until I hear a sort of click. Then I press a button on there, and now I can slide all the way back or forward like a chair on wheels. Moving on, I can lower a nice kickstand for my feet, or raise a support to hold up my legs, or just turn it into a nice soft bed. Yes, I said bed, and it is so good that NIO keeps finding their employees power napping in them. I'm just getting asked into post for me, but really it is that good. Also, the headrest not only goes up and down, but it also tilts. Not all cars have that. Last thing about the front, biggest sunshade mirror I have ever seen. Women will love this. So, sadly there is no frunk, but to be honest, I would say that the trunk totally makes up for that shortcoming in this case. At first it might seem small, but it becomes a whole lot bigger once you put down the third row seats. Here are the various lengths of cargo that you could put in the car. And while you can't see it right now, the second row also folds to become just as flat as the trunk. Then, this part here opens up to reveal a space that could fit 2 chargers or 2 large laptop bags. Maybe an umbrella or an emergency coat? I don't know. Then underneath that is even more space for emergency supplies and enough for a 220-volt home charger. Then the way this closes up is also well done. You just gently press in the various corners to click it into place. You should not open this hundreds of times, the mechanism will wear out, but since this is for emergencies, it's perfect. Now moving on to the UI of the car. It's huge, there is just so much to go through there. So at the same time as this video, we're also publishing a separate video that will go through the entire UI top to bottom. If you want to see that, then please click on the top right corner now. There should be a bit of a pop-up popping up there. Or you can also find it on our channel. In this video, we are mostly going to go through quickly through the general stuff or the things that make NIO unique. Disclaimer: the UI and features seen in this video might not be fully finished. Before the final release, the design could still change and some of the features removed because they will be further developed in beta, while other features we didn't see might still be added. Some good insights from the UI. A good Tesla-like layout of the settings. Very well designed. Their only mistake is that the right side should not be scrollable. The car has a dashcam function called DVR. You can choose a maximum charge level of either 90% or 100%. Climate controls are similar to Tesla and Mach-E, though the vents are aimed manually and the animation doesn't seem to change either. Seat heating, ventilation, and massage can also be accessed from here. For music, unless you use Tidal, you'll have to stream via Bluetooth, though radio and USB inputs are also an option. A fantastic on-screen keyboard, too bad that there's no web browser. There is an app screen, though for now there are no real apps, there are just, some standard stuff there. The car has a selfie feature. Driving profiles can easily be accessed by pressing this button. But what I love NIO for most of all is that you can create a custom drive mode. Now, my apologies for the quality here. I accidentally forgot to film this and had to ask someone from NIO to send it. But basically, in the custom profile, you can choose how quickly the car accelerates, how much regenerative braking you get, how your steering wheel feels, your ride height, low and standard, and kind of missing a high profile or a slider here. Then this is cool. How soft or stiff the suspension is. Or for maximum range, whether you want limitations on the air conditioning. Now, most importantly, and this is something I initially missed, so I'm relying on footage from NIO again, but by swiping from the left side, you get a quick access menu that you can completely customize. All your favorite features or things you might need quickly, choose where you want to place them and enjoy easy access. Tesla does not have this. This is smartphone level UI quality. This is probably one of the most impressive parts of the UI, and this is what people really need to know about. NOMI. I ended up liking it. I didn't think I would. Not as distracting as I thought. It also turns to passengers that need to buckle up. It shows you when it enjoys your music. It sure won my approval. The car accelerates ridiculously fast for an SUV. It has that fantastic electric kick to it, and the 0 to 50 time, let's have a look. Go! And so we hit 0 to 50 kilometers an hour, or 0 to 30, in 2.3 seconds. Moving on. Got it. And then technically it jumps from 99 to 103 at the 4.8 second mark, but really it hits 100 or 60 in 4.7 seconds, which will count as our final score. And then, for those interested, how fast? We hit 130 or 80 miles in 6.6 seconds. Now, before we compare these results to the Model X, there's something that I need to explain. The acceleration times of the Model X, they're a mess. Officially, from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, or 0 to 60 miles, the Model X from 2016 to 2019 should be at approximately 4.9 seconds. 2020 Model X, 4.7 seconds. But user tests showed speeds like 5.1 and even 5.7 seconds. Maybe because you need performance tires, who knows? So here's a chart of various Model X speeds from 0 to 100, including the 2021 refresh and Plaid. Here we compare our ES8 results. So 3 user tests and 1 official number from Tesla. From 0 to 50, 2.3 seconds. Identical. 0 to 100, 4.7 seconds, which would be the user test and match the Model X's official speed test. 0 to 130, this gap becomes bigger and margin of error when you press the pedal is becoming less significant. The 80 to 120 time shows that when it comes to higher motor power, the ES8 does win. However, none of these speeds can even hold a candle to the Model P100D, the Model X21 refresh, or Plaid. But they don't have to. Look, we keep saying that most EVs can't even beat a 2012 Model S. Well, the NIO ES8, which is not meant to be a performance vehicle, can go toe-to-toe with a 2020 Model X. That in itself is amazing. I don't care about actual drag racing. I care that it's fun and that it's good enough to overtake other cars. Not all EVs are good enough, but this one absolutely is. Also, officially NIO says the time is 4.9 seconds, not 4.7, but that's what we got from our results. And as for braking...
Whew, wow, that's a lot of G's.
And to truly demonstrate the brakes, they took us to a sandpit, where we went over a very steep obstacle to the point that we could only see the sky, and then down an extremely steep slope to the point where the only reason we were still in our seats was because the seat belts are made to handle these situations. And let me tell you, that gives an adrenaline rush. Let's have a look.
Okay. We just let the front wheels over the edge and then be very gentle on the brake and just take it very easy down. We'll also try and stop here. Here.
But when it comes to going off-road, I am no expert. I defer that to my colleague Jennifer Sensiba, who does that sort of thing all the time. I spoke to her about the demonstration that NIO made in a sandpit, as well as showed her footage we made of it. Here is what came out of that conversation. She said that especially when it comes to that image of the steep downward slope, it's an impressive angle is what she said, and that most vehicles would slide or get stuck. That, according to her, is basically Jeep territory. This means that the car has good electronic traction control. Generally, sand is more challenging than most people think. It is, in fact, one of the hardest things, especially for a heavier vehicle. Now, there's an important distinction to make. In off-roading, there is something called technical off-roading. This basically means challenging terrain with like rocks, obstacles, and crawling. This requires something called bash plates or skid plates. And for those unaware, like me, those are actually metal plates on the undercarriage that protect the car in case you hit something like a rock. And because presumably the ES8 does not have this, the ES8 is not capable of technical off-roading like a Jeep. But nonetheless, its performance is still extremely impressive for a more road-oriented vehicle. Now, battery swapping is a major part of this car, and we go into greater detail about that in the article. But to quickly summarize, a battery swap takes a mere 3 minutes, which actually equals a 10,000 km/h recharge speed, and that's pretty crazy. Then if you buy the car without a battery, you get a major discount on the car, and NIO has every intention to make sure there is enough supply to meet the demand for battery swapping around the world. And NIO, they're launching in Norway, a country with 5 million people, and currently 0 NIOs, but by the time the first customers will get their cars, there will already be 4 swapping stations in this country. Now, because NIO hasn't announced the battery swapping price for Europe, and because we didn't actually get to see it in action, we will talk more about it in detail next time. However, the fact that the car charges at 90 kilowatts, that is something we want to spend a bit more time on. Because in the article comment section, there were a lot of people complaining that 90 kilowatts is not enough. And I want to take a moment to point out how ridiculous that is. Look, these cars that charge at speeds under 60 kilowatt, those are way too slow. You will charge for 1 hour after just 2 hours of driving. However, at 80 kilowatt, your charging speed is not 200 kilometers an hour, but basically 400 kilometers an hour. Charge for a bit less than an hour and drive 3 to 4 hours. Except for the very top tier of cars, which you see here at the bottom, except for them, the range does not really increase. But we do see that the charging time goes down. At 100 kilowatt, you basically save 15 minutes, and with at least 125 kilowatts, you save half an hour. Now, I ask you, is the Hyundai Kona bad? No, it's great. Is the Mach-E bad with charging? No, it's not. So then why would the NIO ES8 be bad? Keep in mind that with a 3-minute battery swap, the charging speed is technically speaking 10,000 kilometers an hour. NIO has every intention to make sure there is enough battery swap capacity in Europe to meet the demand. This will take till 2025, but this network should already be usable within a year or two with, more limited destinations. Fast charging is basically more for emergencies or perhaps for your lunch break. 90 kilowatts is a bit of an odd number actually, and my gut says that this maximum charge rate can be sustained for longer. And so basically after 45 minutes of charging, you get close to 400 kilometers of range. So is the NIO ES8 the absolute best car for road trips in 2021? No, it's not. But come 2025, all bets are off. Just for your information, Tesla's average charging speed throughout the cycle is basically 108 kilowatts. We need more information, but seeing how good the rest of the car is, I would be surprised if 90 kilowatts were only a peak charging rate. Also, there is information on my charts and people will say is inaccurate, like the Mach-E has a peak rate of 150 kilowatts. But it can sustain that for only 2% of the charging cycle, and then it falls like a brick down to 100 kilowatts. So that just doesn't count. So that was our initial impressions review of the NIO ES8. Ideally, we'd want to spend a lot more time in the vehicle and subject it to a bunch more tests before making a final verdict, but that'll have to wait till a later time. And for now, I just want to make sure that I've succeeded at driving home this one very important point. I've been in a lot of different electric vehicles and none have managed to impress me this much, except maybe Tesla. Like, if I could have any electric car that I wanted, like my top 2 choices would be between the Tesla Model X and the NIO ES8. When it comes to actual realistic budget, my choice then lies between the Tesla Model Y and the NIO ES8. Again, right now, only 2 things would make me lean a bit more towards Tesla. One of them is full self-driving capability, which, in all fairness is something like, 6 years away for Europe, 4 years for the US maybe. And I should clarify, by that I mean like legal, hands-off, no attention required, level 4 autonomy FSD. And the other factor is speaker quality. The ET7 with more advanced autonomy sensors and a new improved audio system might make this a fair fight. So to wrap things up, NIO was really quite impressive when I saw the team in action, and so I just want to give a huge shout out, first of all, to Jermaine. Without him, we would not have been able to film even half of what we did, and also big thanks to Frederick for all the help after I left Norway. But like I said, their entire team there is amazing, so I'm sure that the operations in Norway will be very smooth. And once again, I just want to thank you all, the entire team, for your openness, your friendliness, and your hospitality while I was over there. So, yeah, if you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up so that more people get to see it. And soon we will also be releasing our interview with the general manager of NIO Norway. So stay tuned for that. We will also be releasing a review of the Fiat 500 electric and the Ford Mustang Mach-E in the near future. So if you don't want to miss that, then subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon. Other than that, I wish you all a great day. Till next time, see ya.